New year, new me. Now, the top New Year's resolutions for 2024 were to improve fitness, improve finances, improve mental health, and of course, to lose weight. Now, I know it is the second to last week in January, but what kind of wellness educator and influencer would I be if I didn't have a video on some kind of New Year, New Me content? But we're going to take a little bit of a different spin on things because most of you have probably already started with your New Year's resolutions and goals. And statistically speaking, most of you are actually probably failing at them right now or are about to start failing at them. And so what I want to do today is to help pick up those pieces and ultimately give you some tools and tricks in how you can actually set goals and resolutions that you are going to be successful at achieving and sustaining for the long term. Now, the first thing we want to look at is why do we fail at these goals and these resolutions in the first place? And I want to highlight that you failing to sustain your goals is not your fault. It's not because you have some kind of flaw or that you're weak or that you don't have enough discipline to run 10 miles, eat boiled chicken breast, and snort collagen powder every single day. And yes, we do see influencers like David Goggins who runs ultra marathons on broken legs and says to push through the pain no matter what and has an unbelievable amount of discipline, but he's ultimately an outlier. You see, human psychology isn't geared for enduring and suffering through an endless amount of pain. In fact, our psychology actually much prefers things that are easy, rewarding, and avoids pains at all cost. So we really need to keep this in mind when we're actually setting our goals. And those overly ambitious, overhauling your entire life type of New Year's resolutions and goals just ain't going to work. So it's not that you're the problem, it's that your system is. And hey, if you're getting some kind of value out of my content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below as well. Check out all my links down below and check me out on my other channels at The Official Dr. Dan. And of course, share and like my videos, spread the word as much as you can so everybody can get all of this content and get the value from it. And of course, your support is always appreciated. So we've established that you failing at your goals is not you. It's not because you're flawed or anything like that. It's because the system that you're using to try and achieve those goals is just not working. It, in fact, is failing you. So what do we do then? How do we go about trying to achieve our goal and ultimately sustain whatever kind of change we're making? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to choose the right goal. So if you say something like, I want to lose weight, well, what does that even mean? It's broad, non-specific, and in reality, it's a meaningless goal. You see, the better approach is to look at I want to lose weight more like a vision or an idea. And then you want to choose goals that are going to support that vision or idea. So goals that might support losing weight are going to be things like, well, I want to start going to the gym. I want to eat more vegetables. I want to start tracking my calories. Different things like that. These kinds of goals are tangible, they're specific, and they've got a whole lot more meaning. And best of all, they actually give you something to optimize, to work on, and to improve. Now, a key point that I really want to point out here is that you can have multiple goals that you really want to work on, but it's important that you only pick one goal at a time. Remember that whole overhauling your life, New Year's resolution type thing? If you try to change too many things at once, ultimately, that's going to involve a whole lot of pain and suffering that ain't going to pan out. And so we want to start with one goal, get really good at it, and then look at adding on the next goal. Capiche? The next thing that you want to do once you have the right goal is you want to optimize that goal. And so if your first goal is, I want to start going to the gym, you need to ask the question, well, what does that look like? So things like, when would you go? Where are you going to go? How much time are you going to spend there? What are you going to do? What are you going to wear? Are you going to eat beforehand, etc., etc.? You need to think about all of the things that are going to go into you going to the gym. What is going to be involved in that? So let's give you a little bit of an example. So I want to go to the gym, and commonly people will say, well, I want to start going to the gym before I go to work. So let's say I'm going to go to the gym at X time before I go to work. I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to do these fitness classes that they offer, and I'm going to do that 3 times a week. So cool. But this is kind of where people get stuck. And ultimately, we need to dig a whole lot deeper. So we know we want to go to the gym before we go to work. So that probably means you're going to have to get up earlier. So what time is that going to be? Do you currently get up at 6 a.m.? So now we're going to have to get up at 5 a.m. or maybe 4:30 a.m.? And then we need to look at, well, what time are you going to go to bed at in that case? Are you going to go to bed at the same time? Probably not. You're probably going to need to go to bed earlier or you're going to be a useless turd for the rest of the day. And you know what? You might actually need to collect some data to kind of figure out what your average bedtime is, what your average wake up time is, different things like that. Same thing if you're tracking calories. You might want to just track your calories and figure out just what you're eating at present every single day and then make adjustments from there. And so let's say we figure that all out. We're going to go to bed at this time. We're going to wake up at this time so that we can continue to achieve, say, 7 or 8 hours of sleep so we can still function and be a normal, nice human being. So now we got to start looking at other parts of our life. How are you going to go to bed earlier? Do you have kids? What time do they go to bed at? What time are you getting home from work at? What are going to be all the other things that are going to need to shift and change in your life just so you can get up earlier in the morning? Suddenly, when it comes to just, I'm going to go to the gym before work, we've got a whole pile of frickin' changes that we need to make before we can even wake up early in the morning to even get to the gym. And so our first goal might not even be to go to the gym and work out before we go to work. It might be just trying to get to bed earlier, just a little bit earlier. Maybe not the full 2 hours earlier that we need to in order to get up and go to the gym, but maybe it's 30 minutes earlier so that you can start building that pattern in and getting the other aspects and parts of your life that are going to need to change slowly shifting and making their way in the direction that you need them to be so that you can be successful at going to the gym before work. Or maybe you'll go through that same process and be like, crap, that is way too many changes for right now. So maybe going to the gym before I go to work isn't a reasonable goal to start with. Maybe we need to look at something else first. You see, we need to pick a goal that is going to have the greatest chances of success, because what that is going to build is momentum, it's going to build motivation, and it's going to get you to keep showing up and doing it over and over again and wanting to incorporate more changes. If you make it too hard, if it's not happening for you and you're constantly bashing your head against the wall, well, yeah, you're not going to want to stick with it, and ultimately you're going to go back to your old patterns. So we need to figure out what is the right goal, how are we optimizing for that goal? Further again, is it actually the right goal that we want to do right now? And is it going to allow us to move in the direction that we need and want to go? And one thing to always keep in mind is that if you can't continue this goal forever, then it's probably not the right goal for you, and it's definitely not going to be the right goal for you that you're going to be able to sustain long term. And if you're looking at changing your calorie intake or trying to figure out what is a right calorie intake to help you lose weight, be sure to check the link down below in the description as well as in the first comment there, where you can get access to my nutrition calculator. It will punch out the proper amount of calories to eat and the protein amount for you to eat to ultimately be successful on your weight loss, weight management goal. Just go through the calculator, input the information, and then the calories and protein amount will show up on the last page. So go and check it out. Now, the third thing that we need to do here, we've got the right goal, we've optimized and figured out all the little pieces of it, is how are we going to make this fun? Again, the reality of behavior and lifestyle changes is that they suck. They're going to be boring. They're going to require a lot of energy and effort to do them. And so, if we can find a way to make this whole process more pleasurable, a whole lot more fun, well, the chances of success and continuing with it are going to be a lot greater. It's also going to make your life a whole lot more enjoyable. So, one of the first ways to try and make this process fun is by gamifying it. And that's going to be things like, tracking your workouts and say, I did X amount of weight or the X amount of reps this time. Next week, I'm going to try to do 1 more rep or 5 more pounds or what have you. So constantly creating this competition either with yourself, maybe with a loved one, and competing and going and seeing how you can try and push yourself to do better every single time you show up. Other things you can do is trying to find a really good podcast, or maybe following and watching your favorite YouTubers' videos, if you know what I mean. Do something that you find pleasurable and enjoyable during the process to make it a little bit more fun and easier for you to do. Or you could even set up a reward after you've completed the said activity or the said goal that you're trying to go for. For me, I like to do painting on the weekends. And so if I'm successful in achieving my goal for a week, well then I get to paint. I get to do something that's very relaxing and allows me to have fun at the same time. It gives me something to anticipate and a reward at the end of the week. So always checking in during this process and asking yourself, how can I make this more fun? Remember, you have a limited amount of energy and effort that you can apply to making changes in your life. That energy and effort is essentially your discipline. So it's finite. It is going to run out on you. And so we want to try and hack our environment. We want to make our life as easy as possible so that whatever little discipline that we do have, we can apply it in the right aspects to get us to engage in that activity, versus having to mount an enormous amount of willpower and discipline to say, get up off the couch, pack our gym bag, and head to the gym. That's going to be everything like planning out things the night before, the weekend before, or what have you, figuring out all the details of where you're going to go, throwing them into your calendar and scheduling it so you know what time you're going to show up and do things. All of these little things that are going to help you to plan, prepare, and make it as easy as possible. And finally, we just need to start. We need to see how things go, how things play out. We need to modify, tweak, continually reflect and experiment. The goal here is not to be perfect, not to be dead set on whatever initial goal that you create and start working on. The goal is to aim for mastery, and mastery requires you to try some things, fail at them, and try some other things. Ultimately, continually experimenting, building, and working towards the final outcome and vision that you're trying to achieve. And if something is seeming too hard, too burdensome, or just downright sucks, well then something probably needs to change. Remember, if you can't do this forever, then there ain't no point in doing it. So do the best that you can and recognize that some weeks you're going to kill it and other weeks you're going to suck. Now, my final pro tips for you before we wrap everything up and you can get started in achieving your goals. The first one is you need to focus on behaviors, things that you can control. So these are going to be things like eating more protein, say 3 times a week, going to the gym X number of times a week, doing something that requires a behavior to you engage in order to make it happen. Things like the number on the scale, you can't control it. We could influence it, yes, but you can't wake up in the morning, look at your scale and say, I would like to weigh 200 pounds, and then step on the scale and it read that number. Just not the way that it works. And so if you get too caught up in something that you can't control, well, you're going to lose your frickin' mind. The number on the scale is just a data point to tell us how we're doing, but ultimately the behaviors we're engaging in and whether we're checking them off that we did it for the week, those are where the real benefit is going to come from. And as well, again, we need to set the proper expectations. You need to know that even if you find a nice, easy goal, you optimize the crap out of it and you make it all beautiful and perfect and stuff, behavior and lifestyle changes are still gonna suck. They are still gonna require a massive amount of work, effort, and energy. They are going to take a lot of time, they're going to be exhausting, and you need to be patient. And a lot of times, it's going to feel like you're putting in a massive amount of work, and ultimately the results aren't matching the work that you're doing. Unfortunately, things are not going to move in a nice linear and straight line. There is going to be a lot of zig and zag and up and down and all over the place. You're going to F up, you're going to have to get back up again, and it's going to suck at times, and it's going to feel like you're putting in way more work than what you're getting on whatever metric you're using to see your success. Welcome to life. So that is it, and that is all, you beautiful people. I hope that provides you some perspective and can allow you to get on the path you need to get on in order to actually achieve your goals and your New Year's resolutions. As always, I appreciate the support, so definitely hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already done so. As well, check me out on my other channels at The Official Dr. Dan. As well, check out the description for all of my links for my Amazon storefront to help you on your weight loss journey, as well as the link to my nutrition calorie protein calculator. You can also enter your email there and you will get my weekly newsletter and be notified every time I post a video. As well, check me out on my other channels. I'm on the Tik, the Talk, the Gram, at The Official Dr. Dan is the handle. And of course, I always like to remind you that it's going to be the small tweaks that are going to lead to those massive peaks.